"Mama, we can't keep doing this." That's what I heard in my kitchen at 7:40 inches the evening. I'm 88. My brass house key lay on the counter, blue ribbon beside it, and someone I carried on my hip was saying, "It might be time to look at places. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being managed, told when to wake, when to eat, when to sit." I touched that key and thought, if I hand this over, what else goes with it? The fear isn't help, it's disappearing. The kitchen was warm. The overhead light hummed the way it had for 30 years. I could smell coffee from that morning still sitting in the pot. Outside the window, the maple tree was losing light. That kitchen held 54 years of ordinary suppers. My husband used to sit at the corner of that table with the newspaper folded to the crossword. I used to grade library checkout cards at the counter while green beans simmered on the back burner. The room knew me. And now, someone I loved was standing in it, saying words I understood were kind, and I felt the floor tilting under my feet. I wanted to say asterisk. I am still here. I am still the woman who chose the paint color on these walls. Asterisk. Instead, I touched the counter with my fingertips and said, "Let me think about it." Then I looked out the window at the maple tree and did not cry. Everyone says there are only a few sensible choices at a time like that. Move in with family, hire full-time help, go somewhere safe. Those are the three official choices, aren't they? Each one sounds loving, sensible, responsible, and every single one of them quietly slides that key out of your hand. Nobody means harm. That's the part that confuses you. They say it softly, like it's already decided. Moving in with family sounds warm until you understand what you're actually doing. You are folding yourself small enough to fit inside someone else's schedule. You start your day when they start theirs. You eat what they cook when they cook it. You smile when they check on you for the third time before bed because you know they're trying, and somewhere around month 6 you stop mentioning that you'd like your coffee a little earlier. You stop asking if the television could be lower. You stop saying anything that sounds like a preference, because preferences require accommodation, and you are already taking up space you did not used to occupy. You become someone they talk about in the next room. Hiring full-time help sounds dignified until a stranger is standing in your kitchen at 6:45 inches the morning and you have not yet brushed your teeth. Every private moment becomes negotiated. You cannot walk to the bathroom in your nightgown without wondering if someone will see. You cannot cry at the kitchen table without an audience. Your home becomes a workplace, theirs, not yours. Going somewhere safe, that's the phrase they use, sounds responsible until you translate it. Safe means supervised. Safe means your door locks from the hallway, not from your bedside. Safe means trained professionals will handle everything and you will never again be left alone long enough to make a mistake or a choice. All three options begin with love, I know that. But they all end the same way, with someone else holding your key. What nobody mentions is the fourth choice. And the biggest mistake is not moving. It's surrendering authority before you have to. I almost made that mistake. Before I explain that, let me tell you who was standing in that kitchen. My name is Lillian Mae Carter. I am 88 years old. I was married 54 years to one steady man, and I worked 29 years as a school librarian, shelving other people's stories while living my own. I buried my husband in 2016. Since then, I have lived alone. I pay my own light bill. I choose my own bedtime. If I lose this house, I lose the last place where my name is still printed on the mailbox. That matters more than folks understand. But pride does not stop a body from changing. For 29 years, I walked into that library every Monday morning and smelled floor wax and old paper. I knew where every book lived. Fiction started 3 shelves past the water fountain. Biographies ran along the east wall where the light came in best. A boy named Marcus came back when he was 26 to tell me the book I'd given him in 5th grade made him want to be a teacher. He brought his fiancée to meet me. That's what I did with my working life. I handed people books and trusted them to do the rest. My husband's name was James. We met at a church dinner in 1962. He carved the roast, I poured the tea. He was not a loud man, but when he spoke, you remembered what he said. One Saturday morning in 1981, he stood in the driveway washing the car while I planted marigolds along the fence. He said, "Lillian, those are going to be too crowded." I said, "They'll be fine." They were too crowded. He never said, "I told you so." He just smiled every time he walked past them. That's what 54 years felt like from the inside. Small knowings, ordinary rightness. Independence has meant different things across my life. In my 30s, it meant working while raising children. In my 50s, it meant paying off this house with my own name on the deed. In my 70s, it meant learning to sleep alone after 54 years of someone breathing beside me. Now, at 88, it means deciding when I eat breakfast. This house holds the pencil marks on the doorframe where we measured our daughter's height. It holds the squeaky board in the hallway that I step over without thinking. It holds the window in the bedroom where I have watched every season change since 1968. You cannot pack that into a suitcase. First it was small things. I left a pot on the stove and smelled it before I remembered it. I missed the bottom step of the 3 to the porch and grabbed the rail too late, my heart jumping harder than my feet. One afternoon, I woke up on the living room rug with no memory of lying down. Then came the Tuesday evening, humid. 7:40 again. I reached for a towel in the bathroom. My foot slid, and my shoulders struck the tub. The tile felt like ice against my cheek. I lay there listening to the hallway clock tick. Nothing broke, but something inside my certainty did. That fall started a chain of decisions I wish I had handled differently. The first mistake looked loving. I agreed to just stay a little while. I packed 1 suitcase and told myself it was temporary. The guest room had fresh sheets and a lamp with a pink shade. I was grateful. One night, walking down the hallway for water, I heard a soft voice say, "We'll have to rearrange everything around her." Not sharp, not cruel, just tired. Still, it landed. From that day forward, I became a schedule. Breakfast earlier, television louder. Don't touch the kettle, it worries us. So I stopped making my evening tea. After 14 months, I felt myself shrinking to fit the room. I wasn't visiting, I was being managed. My coffee came in a different mug than I would have chosen. My television shows played at different times, or not at all, depending on what else was happening. During family dinners, people asked my daughter questions about my health while I sat 3 feet away holding a fork. I stopped correcting them after the first few months. The moment I stopped correcting them, something inside me went quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. One evening in April, I sat in the guest room while the house moved around me, dinner being made, children being called, the dog barking at the mailman, and I realized I had become a person. Things were done times to asterisk, not times with asterisk. I knew I should feel grateful. I was. I told myself I was every single morning, but gratitude and grief can sit in the same chair. The second mistake wore perfume and good lighting. I toured a place that cost $4,300 a month. The director smiled warmly. The doors locked automatically behind us. Before I signed a thing, my name was printed on a temporary tag. A staff member said, "We handle everything for you, everything." That word chilled me more than the locked doors. The hallway smelled like cleaning solution and something floral they were trying to cover up. The recreation room had a piano no one was playing and a television no one was watching. In the dining area, people sat 3 to a table with name cards in front of them, like a wedding where nobody knew the bride. They pinned my name to my chest on a white sticker, asterisk, Lillian C., visitor. Asterisk, I looked down at it and thought, asterisk. This is how it starts. First, your name goes on a tag. Then, your name goes on a door. Then, your name means nothing but a room number. Asterisk. On the drive home, I set the brochure on the passenger seat and did not look at it. I thought about my kitchen counter, my hallway clock, the squeaky board I step over without thinking, the brass key on its blue ribbon. None of those things would fit in the room they showed me. Neither would I. I came home and set the brass key on the table. I sat at my kitchen table that night, staring at the brass key on its blue ribbon, and a terrible sentence formed in my mind. I wasn't a woman anymore. I opened my mouth and realized no one had asked me that in months. The question landed in the center of my chest like something I had been holding without knowing it. For 14 months, people had asked what I times needed, asterisk. What I could still times do, asterisk. What would be times safest, asterisk. What made the most times sense, asterisk. But no one had asked what I times wanted, asterisk. I sat there across from Dolores Jenkins and felt something unlock. What did I want? I wanted to make my own breakfast. I wanted to choose when I went to sleep. I wanted my things where I left them. I wanted my name to mean something in my own house. I wanted help. I was not too proud to say it, but I wanted help on my terms. In my kitchen, with my key still hanging on its blue ribbon, I called my daughter that evening. I did not raise my voice. I did not apologize. I said, I'm coming home, and I'd like to talk about what I need to stay there safely. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, okay, Mama, let's talk. That question was the shift. Dolores Jenkins didn't come to fix me. She came to ask me. And that difference between being fixed and being asked is the difference between care and control. The fourth choice was not leaving. It was staying and redesigning the help. I hired morning assistants 3 days a week. I installed brighter lights in the hallway. I gave my neighbor Carl a spare key, not the original. I wrote my wishes in plain language and read them out loud. I accepted assistance, but I kept authority. The change was not dramatic, it was quiet. In the mornings, my helper wipes the counter while I stand at the stove and choose my own breakfast. There is a grab bar beside the tub now, solid, silver, waiting for my hand. My pill organizer sits on the table, labeled in my own handwriting, Monday through Sunday, clear as daylight. The brass key still hangs on its blue ribbon inside my kitchen drawer. I nap in my own chair. I pay my own light bill. When family visits, nobody rearranges the furniture. My blood pressure settled. I sleep through the night. No one handles everything. I handle what is mine. So here is the mistake I almost made. The biggest mistake is surrendering control the minute you admit you need help. I thought needing help meant I had already lost. That is not true. Needing help is not the same as giving up your keys. Let me say that again. Ability. That word wouldn't leave. A liability to the insurance. A liability to my family. A liability to my own self, standing at the top of the stairs. Here is where I have to be honest with you. I had waited too long to say what I wanted. I let fear do all my talking. And every week I stayed quiet. Somebody else made a plan on my behalf. And then something small happened that changed the direction of everything. Mrs. Dolores Jenkins from church, age 72, knocked on my door with a pot of chicken soup and her sensible shoes. She did not say, "You need to move." She sat at my table and asked, "What do you want, Miss Lillian?" Needing help is not the same as giving up your keys. Help is a tool. Surrender is a decision. I lost time believing endurance was the only virtue left to me. But endurance without peace is just suffering in slow motion. You are allowed, even at 88, to accept help and still stay in charge of your own life. If you are my age and someone is standing in your kitchen suggesting places, I want you to know you are allowed to say what you want. Not what's easiest, not what costs the least, not what makes everyone else comfortable. What you want. If you are the person standing in the kitchen saying, "We can't keep doing this," I want you to know the person you love is still in the room. Ask them what they want, not what they need, not what's safest, what they want. Then listen like their answer matters, because it does. Help looks different when you do it right. It does not mean taking over, it means showing up. It means a grab bar installed where it's needed, a neighbor with a spare key, a helper who asks before moving things. It means the person you're helping still gets to decide what time they eat breakfast. I do not know how much time I have left. None of us do. But I know how I will spend what remains. In my own house, at my own table, with my name still on the mailbox. I still keep something close to remind me. I keep that brass key on its blue ribbon close to my hand. Some evenings I hold it in my palm. It opens my front door, yes, but it also reminds me I did not vanish. May your help be gentle and your authority intact. Tell me your age and where you're listening from. And tell me who's holding your key.